Welcome back to the kinda sorta finale of our Force Unleashed lore play series. This is the final chapter in the main story, but I'm gonna be playing through the bonus missions as well, so the Force Unleashed lore play isn't quite done, just the story as far as Legends is concerned. Last time, we dealt a major blow to the Empire, meaning Bail Organa was able to rally more support to the rebellion. Vader tells us to meet with the rebels and continue the charade. Among those gathered are Bail Organa, Ram Koda, Mon Mothma, who would eventually lead the Rebel Alliance, as well as Garm Bel Iblis. I'm going to spend a little extra time talking about Garm because he is the least well known of the bunch. He was the Senator of Corellia and a strong military leader. After his wife and children were murdered by the Empire, he went into hiding, awaiting a time where a more substantial resistance movement could begin. That time is now. I'm gonna dive back into the game, but if you want to learn more about him, I suggest reading Timothy Zahn's Thrawn trilogy from Star Wars Legends. With Galen Marek as their Jedi leader, Bail Organa feels confident that his wealth can fund the rebellion, while Garm provides the fleet, and Mothma provides the soldiers. But the meeting is interrupted as Galen is betrayed again by Vader. He prepares to strike Starkiller down, but Proxy defends him as Obi-Wan, which is just awesome. I love that. Unfortunately, Proxy is killed, and he joins K2SO on the list of awesome droids that went out too early, at least for now. Vader takes the rebel leaders to the Death Star as it is still under construction, and I guess security is pretty lax because we just waltz right in. Juno kisses Galen, and he gets out of there as fast as he can. Honestly, the whole romance subplot, it's just not necessary. It's not given enough time to develop, so it kinda comes out of nowhere. The book does a slightly better job of at least having Juno and Galen think about each other in that way, but it still feels a little forced. Anyway, let's save the Senators. Oh, and remember what I said about lax security? I was wrong, they're everywhere, gotta run. I'll be honest, this part took me a few tries, but I was committed to finishing a lore play not on easy for once. I probably could have just made my way into the laser tube without all that fighting, but where's the fun in that? So now I'm inside one of the Death Star's 64 laser tubes. Is it strange that this tube is directly underneath a hangar? Seems like maybe there should be more buffer there. But this is the same Empire that wouldn't even put up a railing on the main firing tube, so what do I know? Maybe the beam at this level isn't that bad. Maybe we can just see what happens to a human when it fires. I bet it's fine. Nope, I was wrong. Something I really respect about this game is that it got into some specifics of the Death Star. That tube we were just in was only one of 64. When the Death Star fires, 8 beams combine into one super laser. Well, each of those 8 beams are made up of 8 other beams. Pretty crazy. So now we're in a convergence chamber where those 8 smaller beams combine into one medium-sized beam that will eventually combine into the main super laser. I better be super careful with the equipment in here. We have to turn on some lifts to get to the observation deck, and good lord, there are a lot of ATSTs in here, just stomping around the Death Star, firing at whatever they want. 2 decades of work went into this, guys. Even I'm like, hey, be careful, please. Once we reach the observation deck, we have to face off with 4 Royal Guards and a Shadow Guard. The Shadow Guard and this version of the Royal Guard are some of my favorite enemies in this game. I'd love to see something like them return to canon. The Shadow Guard are just too cool. Meanwhile, the Emperor spends a lot of time threatening the Senators until they see a hologram of Galen. The Emperor sends Vader off to kill us, and he really doesn't even seem that annoyed. Shouldn't he be all like, this is your fault, you were supposed to have killed him? Twice? Something? Anything? Yeah, oh well. What the hell is this room? What's its purpose? I think Vader should be full of anxiety right now. He's basically playing The Floor is Lava, and that should be a pretty traumatic game for him. Okay, here is where I think Galen Marek becomes too overpowered. He freaking dominates Vader. From a gameplay perspective, I get it. They wanted to give the player a choice, but there is no way Galen should be able to beat Vader like that and then go on to take on the Emperor and some guards at the same time and win. Just no way. And because this is Star Wars and no Jedi can just let another Jedi kill a bad guy in anger, the Emperor gets the upper hand. Seriously, Coda, if you just let Galen do it, Alderaan would still be here. But Galen sacrifices his life to hold off the Emperor while the future leaders of the Rebel Alliance escape. Oh, and for the third time this game, it's Witwer versus Witwer. The Rebel leaders convene back on Kashyyyk in the former home of the Marek family, and they choose the Marek family crest to become the symbol of the Alliance. Coda tells Juno that she was the one bright spark in Galen's life that kept him going. And yeah, I know I said their romance was cheesy and forced, but still, that line kinda gave me goosebumps. It had been a long time since I played The Force Unleashed, and it holds up pretty well. I admit I like the more gradual birth of the Rebel Alliance as told by Star Wars Rebels, and I also prefer the Death Star being a secret until right around the Battle of Scarif. But this game did a lot of fun stuff with lore. Galen Marek being overpowered is probably my only gripe, but I can understand it within the context of a video game. The developers wanted to let players do all kinds of things with the Force. Pull Star Destroyers out of the sky, take on Darth Vader and the Emperor. I get it, and when it comes down to it, I'm really glad I replayed this game. Like I said, this is the end of the official story, but there will still be a couple more Force Unleashed lore plays to come. Once those are complete, we're going to move on to the Battlefront 2 story campaign, so I hope you're ready. The first canon Star Wars story told by a video game. If you want to watch this series from the start, check out this playlist here. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out my Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.